Ho, 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 boys. I hope you left some tea and Planer's Mixed Nuts out last night for your boy. Okay. Wanted to come in here and make a cool little video on Cooper Webb. I love how everything's kind of developed with Webb after winning the two 450 Supercross titles. And I know for 2022, he's probably one of the biggest favorites to win it. I know a lot of people are still in that trio of like Webb, Roczen, or Tomac. I think there's a lot of people thinking it's going to be one of those three guys going to win the championship. You guys know that my money is on Tomac or Webb. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Tomac, but I think it's going to be either Tomac or Webb for the 2022 Supercross title. So, but yeah. I wanted to come in here and have a little chitty chat session on what Cooper Webb has done so far, and he really is, he's proving that it's not even about like speed, fast lap time, qualifying lap time, hot lap, you know, all that shit all these boys get all giddy about, and they think, even in like motocross gaming, even in like, you know, MX Simulator Pro Racing and stuff like that, it correlates to all that shit. Everybody, it seems to me like there's so many people that think it's all about your speed, you know, how fast you can go in one lap. Oh, that dude's 0.1 second faster than the other guy, so he's better, you know. But the real reality of it is when you get a 20-minute plus 2-lap main event, okay, whether it's in MX Simulator Pro Racing, real life Supercross, whatever the case may be, a fast lap time is kind of silly at that point. You know, it's when you're talking about a 20 plus 2 with all them other boys on the gate, and you've got, you know, the ruts getting formed and the track changing, and the track, a lot of times, at least these past few years in real life Supercross, it's been getting, the track changes so much within those last 10 laps of a race, you know, and that's what really makes the difference in a main event. It's not just raw speed, it's being able to have that mental, you know, capacity like Webb has to, he controls the whole race, you know, he controls the whole main event. He's got that ability to, you know, he can be back there in 5th place, 3rd place for the entire race, and then he gets himself right up there to the front at the very end, and that's all that really matters. It's not what place you were on lap 5. Nobody gives a shit about that. It's not where you finished in qualifying. At the end of the day, nobody gives a shit about that. What matters? The position you finished in that main event. You see what I'm saying? Everybody gets so caught up in all this other shit, all this other flashy, flamboyant crap, and then Webb will come in there, last 5 laps, pass a couple dudes, and that's what's been giving him the championship in his title runs. You know, if it wasn't for Roczen making all those passes, Webb making all those passes on Roczen, right? You guys know those last lap passes. I think that's been a detrimental thing to Roczen's mental, you know, his mental competitiveness to him. Webb is totally, he's already won the mental battle of 2022 before it's even started, just because of what he's done before, you know? I just love how you can have guys like Webb at this point that, you know, it's not just about wicked raw speed hanging out that back end like a Tomac or whatever. You know, it's just so cool how you can have all these different ways of riding and you can still get to a really good finish in a 20-lap main event. That's what I love about main events with a bunch of laps. You know, 20-minute plus 2 or 20-lap main events. That's where you prove yourself, whether it's in MX Simulator, whatever kind of dirt bike game, real life Supercross. All these boys get caught up in these little 5-lap heat race shit, you know, all these other little, you know, who runs the fastest lap time in qualifying. And at the end of the day, all that shit, you can be the fastest dude in qualifying in the world. But if you don't do it in the main event, if you don't finish good at the end of the main event, even if you have a couple of hot laps in the main event, who gives a shit if you're back there in 7th place? You know what I mean? Who really cares if you finished 10th in the main event? All that stuff doesn't really matter. What matters more than a fast lap in a main event is your overall time in the main event. That's what people should be looking at as like something you should strive for, something that's like super amazing, something that's really, really cool, and something that's like proves that somebody's really good is your overall, total time after the 20 minute plus 2 lap main event, because that's what matters. You could run 3 or 4 laps that are super fast, but then your last 5 laps are like under par, whereas like Webb can just run not like a super, super fast lap, but a pretty good lap for 20 laps and smoke your ass. And this was something I always thought was cool about Dungey too, Dungey proved that like you don't have to be the fastest guy out there. You don't have to be some wicked fast in qualifying, blow everybody's heads off in qualifying. And he can still go out there and be bad to the bone in the main event where it matters. He's bad to the bone in the championship standings where it matters, And I've noticed this a lot, especially with like pro racing on MX Simulator and stuff like that. There is so many idiots in that game that they think that your lap time is what matters. How fast you are is what matters. No, the fuck it's not. Being fast for 1 lap is literally the most polar opposite thing from being fast in a 20-lap main event. Those are 2 completely different animals. And I think, especially in video games, like people get real caught up in that, oh, I got a 0.1 second faster than you, bro, so I'm like, a god amongst peasants or something. It's just like, dude, you have no idea the difference in running a wicked fast lap and finishing good in a 20-minute plus 2-lap main event, And it's the same way in real-life Supercross, and Webb is proving that. Like, he cuts his corners tight. He doesn't really look like he's going super fast. Webb did kind of look like that on the 250 on the Yamaha, but since he's been on that KTM, I've never looked at Webb riding in a main event or whatever and been like, damn, Webb's on one, he's hauling ass. Obviously when he made his passes on Roczen, it was like, whoa, that's really cool. He's making these cool last lap passes. But as far as raw speed, if you just look at Webb in his races, like you can't really tell that he's even doing that. It's not like looking at Tomac burn blast in a corner or looking at Barsha trying to burn blast a corner or whatever. It's like the polar opposite of that, and it proves that you can have different riding styles and approach things differently, but still finish really good in a main event and still finish really good in a championship, situation. So that's what I love the most about what Webb is doing, and he's got a good chance to win 2022 Supercross as well. He's got that intangible, man, that championship. Like I'm saying, he puts the championship above all else. If he has to take a second or a third, I feel like it doesn't even really affect Webb. And I think that's how a lot of these boys grew up. They were so trained to just win the race. Just win the race. Just win the race. When you go to Loretta's, just win the race. Win the race. Win the race. If you win the race, you're a winner. But what I'm trying to get at is the real reality of it is you could get a second place or a third place in every main event and win the championship, and you're going to be considered a winner over all them motherfuckers that won all of those main events in the Supercross title. Do you understand what I'm saying? But as long as you're the one that won the title, you're the champion. You're the winner. It's not about those individual races as much as it is the overall championship, And so, anyways, just a little food for thought, something you boys might want to think about. Some of you boys that are in, racing in real life and stuff like that. Don't get stressed out about a second or a third place, man. It's about the long journey. It's about the long-term, championship, if you will. And you can even look at that in life as well, Don't get caught up on the little battles that you have and the little, semi sort of defeats that you have in life. It's about winning that championship in the long run. You gotta stay on it, I think a lot of these boys in real life Supercross, they get real complacent right there about halfway through the season, Roczen's having a big problem with that. A lot of the boys take themselves out of championship, contingency like in the first 2 or 3 rounds. A lot of the boys do that, So if you ever see Webb get like a 2nd or a 3rd or even like a 5th, there's no sense in freaking out about it because that's fine. We need to normalize it's okay to not win the race. You know what I mean? Because even though that's cool and all, and yes, that is maximum points, sometimes it's just not in your hands. Sometimes the way the race plays out, it would be stupid for you to try to push past your limit to try to get that 1st instead of a 2nd or a 3rd. You know what I mean? It'd be stupid for you to try to do that and then lose the championship because you rode over your limit. You lose the championship, and then it was like, what's the point anyways? But yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see it come down to Webb and Tomac at the end, because both them boys are they're gonna race it hard to the finish. I think it's important for Roczen to get a little bit more aggressive if he's gonna, because it's all a mental battle at the end of the day, and that's what Webb's winning across everybody. And it's so funny because Webb's not like a wicked fast dude. Wiggy. He's not like out there trying to show off how fast he is and look how I'm like scrubbing the bike to the ground and I'm wicked fast. But when it comes down to what counts, that championship, he's there. You know what I mean? He's there. And what the fuck are you going to do about it? Oh, nothing. That's right, because you're not even close to him in points to even do anything about it. Oh, man. I just want to make this little video. That's pretty badass what Webb's doing, and I love everything about it. I've always been that kind of dude. I've always thought down that road of, qualifying is really just, it ain't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, trying to kind of learn the track. As long as you get in there in a, top 10, top 15, everything else is going to play out however it's going to play out. You can go in there as long as you got that racecraft. When it comes to a 20-minute plus 2-lap main event, it's about your racecraft before it is anything else. Your consistency and your racecraft. That's what matters. It's not just about raw speed. It's not about how wicked you look. It's not about, you know what I mean? It's different from what a lot of people think it is, when it gets to that kind of level. And I feel like when you go through amateur racing or local racing, it's a lot different because those are like 5-lap races. Those are real short races. And it's just a totally different animal than doing a 20-minute, plus 2-lap race. So, but either way, man, I think Webb's got a good shot at it. I also think Tomac's got a good shot at it. We'll see if Webb can do it again. I think Tomac really, I think he's going to be hauling ass in 2022. But Webb may be able to play more of the long game and may be able to beat Tomac out in the championship. So we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. We'll be back on that next one later, dudes.